Hey guys, welcome back to the me. Today we're going to be recapping everything that happened in week 13, I'm pretty sure, of the NFL season, and you might be kind of confused on why I'm putting this out on Tuesday instead of Monday. That's because there were 2 Monday games and there's a Tuesday game, and I decided I didn't want to make 3 separate videos for all the primetime games, so I just delayed the video one day. I will still have a Tuesday night reaction out on Wednesday. If you're looking for a Thursday night reaction to that game, it came out last Friday, and let's go ahead and get into it. This is a Sunday and Monday games. Let's go ahead and get started. So first game, we're talking about Saints and Falcons. The Falcons defense showed up yet again. However, they did lose. They held the Saints to 21 points, and it was actually a pretty close game. It was a 21-16 win for the Saints. I'm not going to say it. I do this new segment at the end. If you saw my last video, you'll know what it is. I'm not going to spoil it. The Falcons dropped to 4-8. Things are looking kind of rough for them. They really deserve to be higher. Their defense has started showing up. Their offense looked really good the first part of the season. It kind of slowed down, and then their defense started picking things up. However, looking at the Saints, despite the fact that the Falcons defense was playing pretty well, Taysom Hill got a kind of like a bounce back game last week against the Broncos. Well, they did win by 28. Taysom Hill did not have a very good game. This was not the case in this one. He went out there and he played a very, very good game, and the Saints got a nice win to bump up to 10-2. Next game, the Lions went up against the Bears, and they made a nice fourth quarter comeback. The Lions win at 34-30. I think at one point it was 30-20 with only a few minutes left. The Lions managed to come back. The Bears' offense actually didn't play terribly in this one. Definitely upgrade from what we've seen these past couple of weeks. Still didn't play very good, but they did manage to stay in it with the Lions, which isn't really an insane thing to say. But the Bears, their defense kind of fell apart in this one. It was kind of the opposite. Their offense kind of stepped it up a tiny bit, and their defense didn't play very well. Well, they didn't, not a tiny bit. Their offense stepped it up. It just didn't, play really well like, the first 6 games. The Bears defense kind of let up, though. They allowed 34 points to a Lions team that, you've seen these past couple weeks. They got shut out just a few weeks ago, and last week they didn't manage to get anything really going on offense. And then the Bears let them score 34 points on them. So really the Bears, we're seeing a collapse. They're 5-7. I wouldn't be surprised to see a 6-10, 5-11 team by the end of this season. This is insane. Next up, Browns going up against the Titans. The Browns got a big win of 41-35. Both of these teams played pretty well, just in different halves. The Browns dominated the first half, and the Titans dominated the second half. Just the Browns won the first half 38-7, and the Titans won the second half 28-3. So the Browns definitely still played pretty well, especially in that first half. But they get a nice win. Definitely a statement one, because a lot of people were kind of expecting them to collapse and somehow miss the playoffs. But now after this one, they're 9-3. Only 3 teams have a better record than them, and they are looking really good. Their offense was explosive. They got a 41-35 win. What can I say? Both teams played pretty well. Both of these teams deserve to be in the playoffs, and I think they will be. The Titans, they are no longer in first in the AFC South. The Browns, just a few games out of first of the AFC North. We'll see what happens. Next up, Bengals going up against the Dolphins. The Dolphins get a nice 12-point win, 19-7. The Bengals, horrible, 2-9-1. Their offense had a terrible game. It put up 7 points in the first quarter, and this did not do anything for the rest of the game. Their defense didn't actually play too badly, holding the Dolphins' offense to 19 points. That is something you can be proud of. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to pick something positive about this game. The Dolphins 8-4. They are playing some of the best football we've seen them play in the past couple of years. They are definitely now playoff contenders. It's really amazing to see this team, play this well. Next up, Jaguars going up against the Vikings. This one was surprisingly a close game. It was 24-24 going into overtime. The Vikings get an interception, pull that up for run that back for. Use that to get a field goal. I don't know how you could run back an interception for a field goal unless you dive into the, I don't know. The Jaguars, we're starting to, I'm pretty sure they're tanking now. They kept it close, and this is what a lot of teams do. They keep it close, and then they just lose at the very end. I think that's what they did. I wouldn't be surprised if that Mike Glenn interception was meant to happen. I don't know, but I don't think they, especially now with the first overall pick, they know that they need a quarterback, and they know the Jets are playing kind of competitively now, as we'll get to later. The Jaguars, they did manage to lose 27-24. The Vikings get a nice win. They are now a 7th seed in the NFC. It's insane. A team that started 1-5 has now gone 5-1 and is in the playoffs right now. We've still got a few weeks left, and they've got some rough opponents. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them fall out really quickly. But as of right now, I don't think anyone expected them after those first 6 weeks to be in the playoff picture at all, or anywhere near it in week 13. So even if they lose out, I'm pretty sure this is still a pretty good accomplishment for the Vikings. Next up, Raiders-Jets. Like I was talking about, the Jets almost won this game, but then their defensive coordinator forgot what prevent defense was. The Jets were up 28-24 with, I think, 6 seconds left, and then so obviously, the team's gonna throw a Hail Mary, right? No, let's not, play prevent defense. I think they played like cover 0 or something, just like a blitz basically. And the Jets, this is basically what we use. The Jets are full on tank, because they know if they win, then they're going to be tied for the worst record. They want to have that worst record. They are 0-12. They are yet to win a game, and I'm pretty sure if the Jaguars don't do anything anytime soon, the Jets will still remain winless. The players probably want to win, but the play callers. The sad thing is that they fired the defensive coordinator. Adam Gase has been playing terribly all season long, and now the defensive coordinator makes one of the worst calls in history. They decided to fire him, even though we've been seeing Adam Gase play terribly. Well, whatever. The Raiders get a nice win. Definitely not looking too good, though. You had to have a magical Hail Mary comeback to the Jets, so it's not looking too good. But anyways, next up, and also seeing what they did last week, 43-6 to the Falcons, losing that game. The Raiders definitely on a downward slope here, but they are still 7-5, so I think they're still in the playoffs. If not, they think they're maybe 8th seed in the AFC. Definitely still in that conversation. Next up, a pretty good divisional matchup between the Colts and the Texans. The Colts got a nice win here, 26-20. The only score of the whole second half was a Colts safety. The score was 24-20 going into the second half. It was 24-20 at halftime, and it was 26-20 at the end of the game. The Colts bounced back really hard. They had a rough game, especially defensively last week. Came back this week and played pretty well on both sides of the ball. Deshaun Watson, we're seeing it more and more every week, especially with Will Fuller out this week. He was just carrying this Texans team. They could not get anything done on offense unless... And Deshaun Watson is definitely one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and he is carrying this Texans offense week by week. He is the reason they were in this game. And it's just so sad to see how, how rough it's been for him. He's just been, it's terrible. And next up, Rams-Cardinals. The Rams get a nice 10-point win here, 38-28. Nice bounce back from that rough loss last week against the 49ers. The Cardinals offense has had a couple rough games, and this was one of them. They dropped to 6-6, and they are out of the playoff picture right now. They are in the 8th seed. So if they decide to add that 8th seed to the playoffs, as I've heard that they are, considering doing, then the Cardinals will be in it. But as of right now, they're not. The Rams, on the other hand, their offense played really, really well. They bounced back on both sides of the ball. I don't know what I can say. Really good game by the Rams. They bumped up to 8-4. They are in control, not in control, but they are winning this division. Next up, Giants shocked the Seahawks with a 17-12 win. The Seahawks they were winning at halftime 5-0, and then the defense kind of let up. The Giants' defense was insane this game. The Seahawks' offense, up until the very last couple of minutes when it really didn't mean anything, the Seahawks could not get anything done on offense. They got a field goal and a safety in the first half, and then they got one touchdown late in the fourth quarter. Really, the Giants' defense is carrying this team right now, because Colt McCoy was in at quarterback. I think he had a 60 quarterback rating, so better than, I guess, what he could have done, but still not looking too good. So really, it was the Giants' run game, because they only had to score 17 points, and last week they only had to score 19 points. So, the Giants, they're not playing too well offensively. They're playing some of their worst games offensively, but their defense is carrying them, and their defense is definitely playing really, really, really well. So that's not an insult. Your offense is pretty bad, but your defense is playing lights out. Next up, Eagles going up against the Packers. The Eagles could not pull up off the upset. A 14-point loss, 30-16 to the Packers, who are now 9-3. The Eagles, they actually benched Carson Wentz in this game because obviously they were losing. I think at this point, maybe it was 23-3 or something. Like the Eagles, they were playing horribly. They put in Jalen Hurts and they looked so much better. Jalen Hurts went in there and they looked like a really good team. Well, not really good team, but they looked better. They looked noticeably better. They didn't, he didn't go out there, he didn't play astounding, he didn't, play some of the best football any rookie's ever played. He played much better than Carson Wentz, and he kind of showed, because a lot of people try to say that the organization has screwed Carson Wentz and that he is still one of the better quarterbacks. Now I see him when they put out something like a competent quarterback out there. They went out there and they managed to score a touchdown. They managed to score 14 points. One of those was a kickoff return touchdown. But still, how many points did Carson Wentz have in almost 3 quarters? 3. How many Jalen Hurts have in a third of that time? 7. So, I mean, what can I say? In my opinion, I think they made the right choice. I would not be surprised if he Hurts out there this weekend. Against, I don't know who they play, but I honestly think that if Jalen Hurts is in a quarterback, I definitely still think it's a long shot, but I definitely still think they have a slight chance at winning this division. Because right now, I think the Cowboys, they could be out of the conversation for the NFC East next week, and yeah. Next up, we have the Patriots against the Chargers. The Patriots are underdogs, and they won 45-0. The Chargers are now 3-9. The Patriots bump up to 6-6. They're still not in the playoff race because they're not in the playoff race. They're still not in the playoff picture because the AFC is so much better than the NFC. I'm talking about all these 6-6 teams that are in 7th, 6th, 5th seed. Not 8th seeds in the NFC and the AFC. That's not good enough. I'm not even an AFC fan. I'm just saying that. The Patriots, they completely dominated both sides of the ball, obviously. Anthony Lynn, the Chargers coach, at the beginning of the season, everyone was talking about Adam Gase and how terrible Adam Gase is. Now the conversation is switching over to Anthony Lynn and how he still has a job despite all these terrible play calls when I don't even think they're even tanking. I think it's impossible, basically, at this point, for them to get the first overall pick. So there's no need for them to tank, really. But they lost 45-0. Pathetic. All right, now Sunday Night Football was Broncos going up against the Chiefs. Chiefs, as they always do, it was close. I mean, it seems to be close every single game. They never seem to get big blowouts. It's always they're close, but they always consistently win. A 6-point win against the Broncos, 22-16 to bump up to 11-1. The Broncos fall down to 4-8. The Broncos defense though actually played pretty well. It held this Patrick Mahomes-led offense to 22 points. And the Chiefs, in my opinion, I think they had a rough game. I just told you they got a win, but they didn't have too many explosive plays. It was a pretty close game with a Broncos team that isn't necessarily very good. And yes, the Broncos stepped it up. The Broncos defense, like I just said, played better. But still, the Chiefs, I think they had a rough game. They did manage to get the win, mainly because the Broncos are pretty bad. But still, the Chiefs, a rough day, but they did get the win at the end of the day. And that's all that really matters. Moving on to the Monday games. So this is no longer talking about Sunday. This is going to be the first time I think I'm talking about a Monday game on this specific video. I normally do a whole Monday Night Football reaction, listening as they were. I guess it was Monday Night Football, but anyways. Next up, Washington went up against Steelers. As a Washington fan, this was the happiest I've ever been. The Washington football team shocked way more than that Seahawks game. The Washington football team, surprisingly, shocked the Steelers 23-17. And Washington looked great on both sides of the ball, let's be honest. And let's talk about how a lot of people, they talk about Washington and they say, oh, well, yeah, Terry McLaurin is their only weapon. Terry McLaurin had 2 catches for 14 yards in this game. He did nothing. I think the first play of the game was a 12-yard pass to Terry McLaurin, and after that he had 1 catch for 2 yards, and that's that. So all their 23 points, everything good they did on offense past that point, which really their defense, it was playing really well, but it wasn't getting them amazing field position. I think it got them. I think their defense got Washington the ball at the 47 one time, and the rest of the time they were getting at the 10. I think at one point they had a 1st and 23 from their 5. But Washington definitely. I mean, we saw them go out there and guys like Cam Sims, Logan Thomas, and also Antonio Gibson got injured. I think they said turf toe at the beginning. So Antonio Gibson and Terry McLaurin were not really factors in this game. I mean, Terry McLaurin was still out there. He was doing some good stuff. He was, helping out in other ways. You can't just make catches, wide receivers do other things. But still, we're seeing how this Washington team, they can, work without some of their key players really, They do have other weapons. The Steelers getting exposed recently. They've had some rough games, and this one was just catastrophic. I mean, they're definitely going to make the playoffs. There's no question at this point. But how far they're going to go, first, second round knockoff, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, unless they somehow magically manage to, hang on to this bye week that they have, I think they get knocked off in the wild card round, or they get knocked off in the divisional round. But yeah, the Steelers looking terrible. Last game, it was a Monday Night Football. Not many people watching this probably because they were burnt out from that Washington amazing win. Or at least I was, because I'm a Washington fan and I was too busy, yelling and running around in glee. But the Bills managed to beat the 49ers 34-24. The 49ers dropped to 5-7. Also, I forgot to say the Steelers are undefeated, and they finally got a good loss. So I think everyone in the NFL is happy about that. But the Bills, their offense dominated in this game. Nick Mullins actually had a pretty good game. I don't know what to say. The Bills, they completely dominated in this game, and really, surprisingly, the 49ers were, being kind of carried by Nick Mullins during this game. And yeah, that's really all I had to talk about. Now, let's go to my next segment that I think got 1 view last time. But stick around and tell me what you think about this last segment. So what I have here, which teams have clinched and which teams have eliminated. And what I do, I'll explain it to you when I get there. Alright guys, thank you. So not thank you, but welcome to my next segment, which is going to be, did they make the playoffs or not? So as teams get eliminated or they clinch the playoffs, I am going to sit here and I don't want to sit there and go like, oh, this team clinched, this team eliminated. So I want to do something special. So I have this basketball goal right up there, and I have this basketball. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, hey, like for instance, the Chargers, they either got clinched or eliminated. So, what I'm going to say is, so they shot for the playoffs and they missed because they were eliminated from the playoffs. The Chargers cannot make the playoffs anymore. Alright, and next up, we have the Saints. They shot for the playoffs and they they clinched. I know it's stupid, but it's fun for me to do. I know no one watches this far into videos. And next up, the next team, the Chiefs. They shot for the playoffs and they I'm having way too much fun. They clinched it. The Chiefs and the Saints are making the playoffs, yay. And one more team, the Bengals. They shot for the playoffs and they completely missed. And the ball just went in my bed, but so just to recap, the Chargers and the Bengals eliminated from the playoffs. They are no longer in contention. Meanwhile, the Chiefs and the Saints are in the playoffs. So as of right now, the Chiefs and Saints are the only teams that have clinched. Meanwhile, the Jaguars, Chargers, Jets, and Bengals have all been completely eliminated. Every other team that I didn't mention still has a chance to make it and still has a chance to not make it. So that was just way too fun. Let me know if you're watching this point and you're liking this. Let me know. Because if I don't get very many people, answering, I might not do this again. Because it is kind of corny. But I do enjoy doing it quite a lot. But yeah. I already did the recap. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope to see you in the next one.